Mabuhay, good morning everyone. So last year I got a chance to present on the topic of multi-layered security, multi-layered defense strategy in the ISOG event. And it really feels good to be back for the season 2 of ISOG event. My name is Jayesh Panicker and I am working as a global solutions engineer in Sophos. So today I came all the way from India and discuss on the topic of ransomware resilience and the importance of having an IR plan. So let's get started. So let's take a look at some of the statistical data that we have based on the survey result that is documented in the state of ransomware document white paper. So if we talk about the percentage of ransomware hits for the organization, yeah, so if we take a look at the percentage of organizations that were hit by ransomware, specifically for the financial organizations, in 2024 itself, there were around 65% of organizations that were hit by a ransomware attack, which is not a lot if we take a look at the 2023 data. But if we compare it with the other 3 years, previous 3 years, a total of 5 years, it's a lot of significant growth in the percentage of attacks. And talking about the recovery cost, so when our organization has to pay a ransom to the attacker, and there is a lot of recovery cost associated with it. So in 2024, it was around 2.58 million. So that's a lot of money. Imagine what you can do with this huge amount of money rather than paying it to the attacker. So as the threats are evolving, the cyber criminals are using new techniques to launch an attack on the customer's network. So has anybody heard about the ransomware, remote ransomware? Okay, so let's take a look at how exactly it works. So you can see there are a lot of devices in your network, and some of the devices are protected with antivirus or anti-malware software. But there is one device which you see on the left hand side. It is not protected. It is underprotected and it could be an unmanaged device. So an attacker, all he needs to do is just get the access of the unmanaged endpoint, and once he is logged into the device, he can launch a targeted attack to the other devices. Now in terms of ransomware, remote ransomware, how exactly it works is the encryption process runs on the unmanaged device or underprotected device, and the device which already has an endpoint solution will not be able to detect the encryption process, because the process actually runs on the unmanaged device. So they launch the attack and the device faces a ransomware attack, and that's how the ransom note is issued finally. So the key takeaway is all it takes for the attacker to get in your network and launch the cyber attack is just one unmanaged unmanaged device. So how exactly do we achieve the resilience, ransomware resilience? Now it's not something that you can achieve overnight. So let's take a look at each step. So first one is limit attack surface. You need to know that what are the assets present in your organization. You have to be aware of it, what assets are managed, what are unmanaged, and make sure that you have perfectly patched systems. You keep the firmware updates up to date so that it doesn't get entry. And finally, as per one of the survey results that I was going through previously, around 33% of attacks are launched using the phishing. So user clicks on the phishing link, and that is how the backdoor entry is created for the attacker. The second step is automatic protection. So make sure that the security tools that you already have in your organizations, you use it effectively. Now, let me take an analogy here. So let's say you have a big gate with a perfect security lock in it. But what's the use of the gate if there are no fences around it? So similarly, if you have the security tools, just having it is not enough. You need to configure it properly. And you can also watch out for solutions that can stop the encryption process that can do a memory scanning regularly and also roll back the encrypted data. So let's say there is a ransomware attack happening. So it keeps on encrypting the data, the files. So you need to look out for solutions that can reverse or roll back those encrypted files and get back to the normal state. The third one is detection and response. Now think about the unmanaged assets, because the devices that you have in your network, if they already have an endpoint solution installed on it, it's good. But what about the unmanaged assets where you cannot install any third-party software or antivirus, anti-ransomware solution? So think about those assets. And many customers use SIEM and SOAR solutions. That is where it gets a lot of alerts, lot of noise, and to make sure that you get some important information out of the noise, parse it, make some actionable item out of it. That is what it matters the most at the end of the day. And all of this done by the limited workforce can cause a lot of burnout issues in the organization. So make sure that if you have very less IT team members who can do this job, you can also watch out for managed service solution providers out there who can do this job on your behalf. So you can focus more on the business. And finally, the disclosure preparation. Now, in this particular phase, you need to make sure that every step that you take in order to achieve the resilience is documented. Because let's take an example, if there is an audit happening in your organization, you need to prove that you need to give them the evidence, and all this evidence should be documented and saved somewhere. So make sure you have all the reporting and historic data with you. And also the importance of having a solid IR plan. IR stands for incident response. Now, why even we need an IR plan at the first place? So that is what the second half of my presentation is all about. So let's take an example. If an organization doesn't have a IR plan, what will happen? So when a cyber incident happens in your organization, it is like a chaos getting unleashed. Everybody is in panic mode. They get anxiety attacks. They don't know what to do because there is a ransomware attack. Whom to contact, what should we do, how should we recover? So those are the kind of questions that comes, and everybody is kind of worried, like what should be done. So this is where incident response needs to be taken care of, and it is very important. So there are 4 steps to it. Evidence, obviously you need to prove that your environment is clean. Once you contain the threat, you need to clean it, and you also need to provide information to the business stakeholders that, okay, there was an incident and this is how you mitigated or cleaned up those particular threats. And determine exactly what the threat actor did to gain the access into your network. Second is root cause analysis. Now, obviously, when an attack is already happening in your network or has already happened in your network, the first thing you need to know is how exactly they came in. What were the resources, the assets that were compromised, and how they use those tools, which kind of vulnerability was exposed. So all these kind of analysis and investigation needs to be done thoroughly. And also it helps in identifying the areas of improvement. The third one is compromise backup. Now, some customers might think that, okay, it doesn't matter if there is a ransomware attack because I have my backup saved somewhere else, so I can simply restore it. But the attackers are always thinking one step ahead. So if they have also compromised your backups, it is very likely that when you restore the backup, the threat actor will again get the access of the system, which also refers to the recurring cyber attacks. So restoring the backup without understanding the root cause can always lead to a recurring cyber attacks for the same threat actor. Now, how exactly do we identify a cyber attack? The first stage is accidental discovery, which means there is a employee who is casually surfing or maybe accessing your database, and he finds that something is not right. some new user accounts are created, or maybe there are some new files or unauthorized applications that are installed on the system. So that's how you accidentally discover that, okay, there's a potential cyber threat that is happening in your network. The second one is security team discovery. Your SOC team does the threat hunting and they identify that, okay, there is a cyber attack in your network. And the last one is the best one. Best not for the customers, but for the attackers. So let me take an analogy here. Um, when you go and watch a movie and you like the movie, finally when the end credits roll, you see the name of the director, that okay, it's a Martin Scorsese film. So it elevates the entire process of the movie watching experience. So similarly, for the ransomware attack, when it is attacked, the attacker lets you know that your device is encrypted and it is affected, and they issue a ransomware note. Now let's talk about the hidden cost versus the known cost. So what are the direct impact that a ransomware attack can do for you? Obviously, direct financial loss like recovery, ransom payments that you do, and then some of the deep level costs like reputational damages, loss of client because they lose the trust value, the trust factor on your particular organization. And in the extreme cases, it may also lead to national security issues, even cyber warfare, some geopolitical issues. So those kind of unknown impacts are also involved in cyber attacks. So immediate concerns that come is what do we do, how do we contact, what we need to notify. So those are the questions that usually come in the mind of the customer when a cyber incident is happening. So it can be classified into incident planning and incident response. So let's take a look at it. So preparation is the key. You need to make sure that you have the list of all the contact persons that are responsible for your organization's approval, so that you can inform them, and whenever there is a cyber incident happening, you inform them and you take decisions and you take approvals from them to mitigate it. Second one is identification. It is all about the severity. You need to make sure that you set the right severity and classification of the incident or activity that is happening in your network. And the remaining phases are containment, eradication, and recovery. So this is where your different business units will work hand to hand, and they will make sure that they have a common goal of mitigating and removing the threat from the organization. And finally, lessons learned. What exactly are the areas of improvement that you figure out by going through all these steps, and uh, how you can inform it to the business stakeholders, the risk committee. And while doing all of this, you need to make sure that you need to use a simple language so that the executives or the people can understand it very effectively. And one of the best way to do it is also using a security tabletop exercises, which is like a role play where you have a meeting with important senior members and you discuss on a cyber threat incident hypothetically, and you try to get different perspectives from each team member to understand how we can manage the cyber incident when it actually happens in your network. So as a takeaway, I would like to ask you a question. Do you already have an IR plan? If yes, then this is a good learning for you. And if you don't have an IR plan, then what are you waiting for? Just utilize these resources. You can also contact us on the booth that is available right there. So I would be happy to share more information with you about how exactly we can plan the IR planning, IR incident response, and some of the resources you can also utilize over here. Scan the QR code to know more information about it. And that is all from my side. Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you so much, Jayesh Panicker. Don't panic. There you go. That's from Jayesh. Always need a plan. You have to know what to do. Be prepared at all times because these things will happen and continue to happen. So, which is why we are at this event, at this convention, at the ISOGx. So we will be equipped, empowered to handle all of these incidents. Thank you so much, Jayesh. And once again, let's take a look at, he did have a lot of takeaways for all of you. Why we need a plan, what do we do, who to call, how to file an incident report. So create a plan. That's the first thing we need to do. Find our unmanaged devices because that would lead to attack. Let me see. We need evidence. We need to find out why it happens, when it happens, where it happens, just so it won't happen again. Compromised backups and recurring attacks. So these are all the things we need, which is why it is truly important to file, to have a plan, to file an incident report. So there is your takeaway. Do take a look. Take a screenshot. It will help you in the future.